Hello everybody, you're welcome back again to the Reggae Appreciation Society. By the year 1982, the 1970s already seemed like ages past as change had swept the cultural and political landscape in Jamaica. Prime Minister Edward Seaga's government reforms were struggling to lift Jamaica's depressed economy, and the island, and indeed the whole world, was still reeling from the death of the great Bob Marley a year earlier. But aside from all of the gloom, out of that vacuum would spring new heavy hitters who lit up the reggae scene big time. And most tellingly, dancehall had truly taken a front seat as the #1 sound for the foreseeable future. Those were literally the last days of the golden era of reggae music, which had taken off in 1968. But that era didn't fade off into the night quietly, but truly went out with a bang. Let's take a look at the 8 greatest albums of 1982. Number 8, Youth of Today by Musical Youth. In late that year, 5 boys from Dudderston Manor High School in Birmingham, England, burst on the scene with one of the biggest albums of the year and indeed the entire decade. They were the Musical Youth and had bagged a recording contract with MCA Records after being noticed at a live show. They had been mentored by a man called Freddie, the father of 2 of the members of the group, an ex-member of one of Jamaica's biggest groups of the 60s called the Techniques. Under his guidance, they went to the studio in June of that year and cranked out the 12 songs that made up that phenomenal release. I can't stress enough how legit those boys really were. All between the ages of 11 and 15, they played every instrument on that album and sang every note as if they were 20-year veterans. And upon release in October that year, it became a global smash hit in multiple countries and spawned monster smash singles like Pass the Dutchie, The Youth of Today, and Never Gonna Give You Up. An incredible album that fearlessly addressed the struggles of young people in England at the time, and definitely among the best reggae releases of 1982. Number 7, 1-2 by Sister Nancy. In 1982, not only was dancehall in the conversation, but the first true superstar female DJ would mark her territory with effortless feline swagger via her smoking hot debut album, 1-2. After 6 years in the underground sound system scene, first tagging along with her elder brother, Brigadier Jerry, before becoming a bona fide clash DJ herself, she would be invited by famous producer Winston Riley of Techniques Records to record an album. Powered by a treasure trove of fire instrumentals stored and amassed by Winston Riley in Techniques Records archives, Sister Nancy would put out 10 scorching songs that included the catchy 1-2, I Am a Gideon, and her monster smash hit single, Bam Bam. Her lyrical dexterity, agile flows, and effortless impact endeared so many listeners to this release. In what was a gritty and male-dominated space, she got everyone to listen without aggressive vocals or shock content, which the likes of Lady Saw and Patra would later employ. She leveraged on her poise, timing, and lyrical depth to not only put out a stunning debut album, but indeed one that stands the test of time as an all-time classic. Number 6, Special by Jimmy Cliff. After almost a decade of being criticized for a slew of crossover albums like 1971's Another Cycle, 1976's Follow My Mind, and 1978's Give Thanks, Jimmy Cliff made amends to his roots reggae fanbase with Special in 1982, a compilation that was a solid return to his own foundations as one of reggae's founding fathers. And for this project, he would engage the services of legendary duo Sly Dunbar and Robbie Shakespeare, and put in one of his greatest vocal and lyrical performances till date. And from the opening track Special, the album is serious business, with the ominous warning, treat the youth's rights, to the powerful roots radical, and also features inspiring feel-good numbers like Love Heights. This album was an exquisite balance of radical messaging, love songs, and spiritual content. It was well received critically, but for a number of reasons, it failed to become one of his biggest successes from a commercial point of view. But nevertheless, Special became one of the high points of reggae music for that year. Number 5, Mr. Yellowman by Yellowman. If any one album was the avatar that truly marked the arrival of dancehall as the flagship sound for the 80s, it's this delightful 10-track piece. Coming after his debut, The Mamad Over Me, he would go into a devastating collaboration with producer Henry John Joe Laws, ably backed by elite studio backing band the Roots Radics. And the first fruits of this arrangement was the phenomenal Mr. Yellowman. This album is the artist Yellowman in his sizzling prime, skillfully riding the hardest reggae rhythms with unrivaled wit, timing, swagger, and humor on tracks like the amazing Natty Sit Upon a Rock, Mr. Chin, and Yellowman Getting Married. This album would penetrate the UK and US markets, effectively making Yellowman a bona fide international superstar, and saw him get signed by giant label CBS Records. It's been critically acclaimed as one of the greatest albums of the 1980s across all genres, and most definitely among the best of that year. Number 4. A New Chapter of Dub by Asad. After emerging on the scene in the 1970s as part of a new crop of British reggae royalty, Asad opened their account in the 1980s with the album New Chapter in 1981, a modest work by their standards. But out of it came the phenomenal dub reinterpretation that was aptly titled A New Chapter of Dub, a cosmic realm level and work of brilliance that King Tubby and Lee Scratch Perry would have applauded. The first track, Dub Fire, is magnificent to say the least, and is one of the most popular tracks with sound system DJs all over the globe. It would go down as one of Asad's greatest works of art, and tracks like Flicker Flame, with its intense drum echoes, would form the cutting edge of dub effects that emerged a decade before its time. It wasn't the biggest commercial success, but as far as the history books are concerned, it's hailed as one of the truly groundbreaking dub releases in the history of the genre. Number 3. Big Ship by Freddie McGregor. After coming into his own and making his debut as a solo artist in the late 70s, Studio One protege Freddie McGregor burst into the 80s and quickly established himself as one-third of that trifecta of vocalist genius kings alongside his two pals in Gregory and Dennis Brown. No other album cemented his brilliance and dominance like the incredible Big Ship, produced by Linval Thompson and driven again by the awesome instrumentals of the Roots Radix Band, and sweetly anchored by Freddie McGregor's golden, smooth, and emotive voice. Its self-titled lead single, Big Ship, became a smash hit that went to number 1 in Jamaica after stiff competition from Yellowman's I'm Getting Married, and it's also boasted of amazing songs like Sweet Lady, Rootsman Skanking, Holy Mount Zion, and Peaceful Man. It gained global acclaim very quickly and took off particularly well in the UK. And number 2 is Night Nurse by Gregory. After establishing a name for himself as one of Jamaica's biggest acts in the 70s, Gregory got signed to Island Records in 1982 and went to work quickly on his album which is considered his magnum opus in Night Nurse. Yet another body of music powered by the incredible instrumentals of the Roots Radix Band. It was so popular in the UK that it was even used for an advert for a cold and flu remedy of the same name. Every track on that album is a masterpiece, from the ladies' favorites Cool Down the Pace to Stranger in Town down to the awesome Not the Way. It's regarded as the absolute pinnacle of lovers rock and indeed a landmark in reggae history. And coming in at number 1 is True Democracy by Steel Pulse. By late 1981, Birmingham-born band Steel Pulse were in a flux. Their last album, Caught You, hadn't done too well commercially and didn't get much love critically. They had been released from their contracts by Island Records and were itching to get back to winning ways. So they linked up with Jamaican producer Carl Peterson, with whom they traveled to Denmark to record music for their comeback album. And in just 25 days, the lads would crank out the 10 songs that made up one of the greatest albums of all time, with masterpiece tracks like the uplifting Chanter Psalm, the militant Blues Dance Raid, the spiritual Worth Its Weight in Gold, the love song Your House. I could go on forever. It was simply a dazzling return by the band to the militant roots of their debut album Hands Worth Revolution. It really launched Steel Pulse as international reggae royalty in the immediate post-Bob Marley era, and is celebrated as one of the greatest albums of the 80s across all genres, and for sure the ultimate reggae release of that wonderful year. And that, dear viewers, was our list of the 8 best albums from 1982. I couldn't play the music over copyright issues, but for those who want to listen to the albums, I've left links to all of them in this video's description section, and please let me know what you think about this list in the comment section below. Thank you for watching this video today. Please leave a like, subscribe, and until next time, God bless.